specifically spiritual women. Oops. Okay, I'm sorry. This is the glue and we're going live. So this is Elisa and I that specifically help spiritual entrepreneurs to help them get to six figures faster. So it's not about me today. It's about my very special friend. Her name is Siobhan from Hong Kong, and she's a mother. She's a new mother. Actually, not really new mother, but she has two children, and she started her business as a new mother. That's why I call her a new mother. And it's such a brave decision to quit corporate, have kids, and then start a brand new coaching business, and now she's thriving. And so I know you would love her as much as I do, and I specifically wanted to interview her because I know there are a lot of women, specifically moms, sitting on the fence. Should I do this? Should I quit my job? What is that? And all the mind chatter. So I want to introduce to you my friend Siobhan, and she's a mom. She has two children. One just turned one.
That's right. Yes.
Right? And so I am so happy and honored and delighted for her to be on a call on this in this video call today, and I'm here to introduce you to Siobhan. So why don't you say hi to everyone?
Thank you, Elise. Hello, everyone. Really happy to be here. And Elise, you are doing amazing work yourself, and such an inspiration to me and to a lot of women out there who are going for it. So thank you for inviting me today.
Thank you. So tell us about your business, the Neon Life Society, and you can go like her page at the Neon Life Society. So tell us what inspired you to start Neon Life Society.
It's a really long story, but I'll start from about a year ago. So a year ago, actually, I should probably start like 3.5 years ago. So I had the corporate job. I had all the trappings of success. I was earning 6 figures in a corporate job. I was working at Goldman Sachs, an apparently sexy company, and had a really good career trajectory to the top. And I really, deep down, wasn't happy. I felt like there was something more. I wasn't using all of my strengths, and I wasn't really using all of my potential. And whilst I was good at my job, I knew that there was something out there that I could be really phenomenal at and be fulfilled doing. But I just had no idea what that was. So essentially, it got to the point where I hit rock bottom, really unhappy, and I said, okay, enough is enough. I'm going to quit. And that was a really big decision. I was, I thought of myself as a failure. Like, what was I doing? Walking away from this great job. It seemed like I was being very ungrateful. And I thought that I would quit and start my own organic and natural skincare business because, I Googled, like, what should I do with my life? How do I find my purpose and my mission? And, a lot of advice said, go back to your childhood. What did you naturally enjoy before you became somebody else? Because I had become someone else when I was in corporate. I chased what I thought I should want. So I followed that, quit, decided to do my business plan for this organic skincare business, and fell pregnant with my first child, Jack, who's now 3, and it didn't go anywhere. And I thought, look, if I know me, if I really get dedicated towards doing something, more would have happened by now. So I did a complete 180, stopped, reflected, and really turned inwards to think about what it is that I wanted, and stopped thinking and started feeling. And that's how I found coaching. Work with a coach. I started practice coaching with people and just fell in love with the industry and the power of transformation. And started thinking about who I really wanted to help, because coaching is great, but there's more than just coaching, right? It's really about the bigger purpose and the bigger why. And I guess I went through that process because I want to help women who were in my shoes 3 years ago. They're having a great job, they're comfortable, the money's good, the life is good, but deep down inside, they're really unhappy. And so that's why I started the Neon Life Society. It's really for those high-achieving women who are in corporate but don't feel like they're being used in the best way and serving in the best way that they can. And they really want to figure out, like, what am I going to do with my life? What business should I start? Or what role should I take in a company if corporate is the way to go, and find a way there. So the Neon Life Society is about a different kind of society. It's not about following everybody's rules, going up the corporate ladder, becoming CEO for the sake of it. It's the flip side. It's about tuning inside. What is it that you really want? And then going after it from that place of, your true desires and what you really want. And so that's my story in a nutshell.
So basically, your coaching, your business is not about asking people to leave the corporate. So if corporate is the way to go, then within that space to choose what's right and what their heart desires.
Yeah, it can be either or. And, I did start with people who wanted to leave corporate because I think a lot of people think, oh my God, I've got to leave. But a number of clients were like, actually, I'm really good at my job. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I just need to set some boundaries and give myself permission to say I am going to step up and be a leader. Because I think women particularly have an issue with claiming it and saying, yes, I want to be the boss. Because they think, oh, why me? Or to be a boss, I have to be, this alpha male or pretend to be someone else. And I think there is value in women stepping up at the workplace and having a new form of feminine leadership. So I'm really not attached to whether or not someone leaves corporate or stays. What I am very passionate about is someone staying true to themselves and going back to what's going to make them feel fulfilled.
Yeah, I guess if everyone were like to be like us, quit corporate, want to start a business, I think the economy would be pretty bad. It'd be like nobody's gonna work. Everybody wants to be a boss. It'll be quite sad, but life is just fair. The yin and yang, right? Somebody wants to be a boss, somebody wants to work, and then that's the match. So I want to trace back a little bit. Like, how did you realize that? Hey, I'm not happy, because I know people are unconsciously aware that they're not happy, right? So, and then you also said you hit rock bottom. So what exactly, it's like as a woman, we tolerate, right? And it's until a certain degree and a certain extent, and then we tell ourselves, you know what, I'm just not going to bother with this. I'm sick and tired of this. I'm just going to pursue it. So did something really happen, or a series of events that led you to decide, hey, I'm just going to quit and just see what happens? And then, of course, I want to ask you the next question is about fear. Did you have any fear? How did you manage it? Because a lot of women, I'm sure they want to leave. I mean, whether or not they want to leave corporate, but say, for example, those you like you and me want to leave, they will be thinking, oh my God, if I leave, then can my business sustain my current income, and then so on and so forth. So it's that fear.
Yes.
And then the flip side of those people who do not want to leave and they're not happy, and then they think that I need to leave corporate. And so how do you manage? I know there are many questions, but it basically leads to the same thing, right?
Definitely. So, to trace back, I only lasted at GS a year and a half, so not a long time. I think I knew that it wasn't working out very early on, actually, within the first 6 months. It's that quiet voice, right, where you think, oh, okay, this isn't really going well, but, I'm really lucky to have this job. Everybody's so much smarter than me. I'm going to have to work twice as hard. It's that we squash, our real voice and the truth inside of us, because we're like, no, just got to do what's in front of me. And so I wasn't very good at setting boundaries and saying no, and I felt inferior to everybody there. I kind of felt like I didn't belong. And so I tried to keep up. And I think that process of trying to do more, be more, and pretend and sort of bust through didn't really serve me. And it got to a breaking point when I really remember very well. I traveled a lot with the job. There was a lot of things happening in the region, and I was in India, and I was sitting in this beautiful suite at the Four Seasons in Mumbai, and I'd woken up early, 5:30, for a conference call, and it was a pretty rough conference call. I got drilled, like, what's this, and very, a tough call. Particularly one person was quite challenging, and I just came off the call in tears, like completely upset, completely miserable, just thinking, what am I doing? I'm literally killing myself into the ground. And I cared a lot about the work that I was doing. I mean, it was real estate, so at the end of the day, I'm not saving lives or anything, but I cared about doing a good job. And I got off the call and thought, look, I'm putting my heart and soul into this. And for what? Like, I'm not actually getting fulfilled. I'm not satisfied. And after that call, I just thought, I'm not, even being treated in the right way from this individual. And I didn't leave because of the individual, but I think that was the turning point which got me to question why? What am I doing all of this for? And so I decided after that trip to think about my options. What should I be doing instead? And quitting did not come up. I was like, I'm going to keep going. What can I do to manage the situation? So like you say, a lot of women realize something's wrong, but don't exactly want to quit right away. And I was speaking to my then fiance, who's now my husband, and he was like, why are you putting yourself through so much stress? Just quit. And I was like, no, I can't do that. You know, that's failure. And only, you know, I'm not a quitter. I'm going to keep going. And he planted the seed of what else I could do. And that's when I did a bit of research. I was Googling, like, what should I do with my life? And, you know, spending a lot of time outside of work listening to inspirational TED Talks and reading blogs, that kind of thing. And, yeah, there was a lot of fear because I thought, if I leave, what's that going to say? I thought, okay, this is going to look really bad on my CV because I joined in November, so obviously I couldn't be promoted in January, and I was like, I want to get that promotion. And yeah, so I thought it'll look bad on my CV, an employer's going to think, why the hell did I leave? I'm not going to be able to find another job. And then I said, okay, I can start my own business, in which case that won't matter. But then exactly like you say, what if I don't earn enough money? What if it fails? What if, you know, I can't have the lifestyle that I have today? And truth is I had savings, you know, I had built up a little nest egg, and I was asking the wrong questions. Like, who wants the answer to what if I fail? What if I don't succeed? Like, why wasn't I asking the better questions? Like, what can I do to make sure I'm starting the right business? Or what can I do to make sure my business is a success? And so I went through that process of essentially failing at my first business venture because it was kind of half-hearted and it was more of a reactionary response to not liking my job. And yeah, if there's anybody in the audience listening to this, I'd encourage them to really stop and feel into what it is that they really want from their life. So if something's really bad at work, start thinking, what would be your ideal? Can it work in your existing company, or does ideal life look like something else? And just know that any fears that come up are natural, we're human, and it's a question of how you work through it. And you're really good at helping people bust through these fears, Elisa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I have another question because you brought up your husband.
Yeah.
And you and I are so lucky that we have supportive husbands, and not necessarily most men would support their wives, because giving up one side of the income means, like again you said, giving up the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's sort of like a sacrifice, and we're all conditioned to go through school, university, and then a job, and then just rot and die with it, right? So that's that old conditioning. So I mean, so I was going to ask you, how did your husband play a part? But it seems like he's so supportive.
He is very supportive, and I'm very lucky in that respect. But you're right. I mean, obviously, in your partnership, you'll have a fear for your other partner because you want them to be able to do well.
What kind of conversations did you have with your husband? Because I know because when I first started coaching, I wanted, not coaching, but I wanted to be coached, and we were struggling then, you know, living on one income, and I didn't have that savings because we already had children, so savings not really a thing when you have kids, you know. And we were young, and we didn't know what to do. So he was like, "Are you sure? What are you doing? You know, are you really sure you want this?" So then I realized that his doubts were a reflection of mine. So
Yes.
when you said you wanted to be coached, right? So did he have a reaction to it? And basically, what was your conversation? Because I know a lot of women, you know, basically their husbands don't agree with them because it's mirroring their fear. So
Mhm.
what kind of conversations do you, like you said, you know, you ask better questions, you get better answers, right? So what kind of conversations would you encourage these women to have with their husbands, so that to have them on their side, not to gain, you know, sometimes we just need to prove that we know what we're doing, right? But not to have them like, well, basically to support us, to ease
Yeah.
the fear.
Yeah, and I think it's tougher work for some partners than it is for others, right? Everybody has an individual relationship with their significant other. And at the beginning, I was very fortunate. Like my husband was very supportive. He's like, just get out, and thankfully, he has a lot of faith in me, which is helpful. But you know, I've gone through the journey, and obviously, the first business didn't do so well, so there was doubt. Like, okay, you said you really wanted to do this, and now you're changing your mind. Like, what's going on? Um,
You did have doubts after that, did you?
Yeah, well, I mean, concerns, yeah, because I changed my mind. And I think what's really important is, firstly, you have to be really clear on what's important to you and communicate to your partner why that's important. So,
Did
not,
the conversation about money pop up? Because at the end of the day, most relationships fail. It's, partly because of money too, right? So
yeah,
the conversation can come up. Was it uncomfortable? How did that feel for you?
money definitely came up. I mean, by the time I decided to switch, my son was 1, and then I fell pregnant with Ella, the second child. And so it was like, okay, now I'm birthing a different business with this baby. And yeah, when you have kids, right? I mean, money becomes a really big issue, right? You want to save for their future and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, money is definitely important. But for me, it gave me the impetus to make failure a non-negotiable. I was like, I can't fail. It's going to have to succeed. And I had to change my mindset in terms of um, really visibility and putting myself out there, because there's that risk, right? You put yourself out there and you're going to get vilified, or people are going to say, who are you to do the work that you're doing? But it's about moving past that and focusing on the people you can help. So that was a big one for me. But going back to speaking to my husband, when I was clear and I told him how passionate I was about this and how sure I felt that this was what I was meant to do, then he couldn't really argue with that. And I think your husband, your partner will know you and will be able to feel your excitement and know when something is something iffy or if it's something you're really sure about. And so it does take a certain type of conversation to be able to get them on board. Because I've made significant investments in my training, in my business,
Did you say
and
anything about significant investment?
well, yeah, so they were significant. So, you know, I had to sort of have that sort of empowered conversation with him. But at the same time, it's important to remember that it's easy in a relationship. Like, I am my own person. I did earn my own money. So, yes, it's our pool, but at the same time, there are things that are important to me as Siobhan Barnes, the individual woman, as well as the wife of and mother of children, right? So it's a bit of give and take, and you know, he understands that, and I understand that, and we all have our own desires. So yeah, it's a challenging conversation at times, but I think you have to be certain in your own mind what you want, and then go to your partner. If you go like, I don't know, help me, your man's going to try and keep you safe, right? And just say, don't do it. So you kind of have to build up that confidence yourself first.
All right. That,
How
that,
was how was your conversation with your husband? Like, I'm intrigued. What happened for you?
so I think initially, like I said, when I told him, because I was essentially spending his money, the money that he gave me, though it's my money, but it was just living from dollar to dollar. I really had to, work with whatever I had. So because I wanted to spend it, so he didn't really have much choice. But
Mm.
then again, I proved to myself and I proved to him that I could do this. So now it's like, are you gonna get a coach? What's wrong with you? You should go to this. You should do that. And then of course, when you move to a certain level, you want to invest in a bigger amount, and he's like, okay, I completely trust you. I'm not sure what you're doing, but I absolutely know what you're doing. So it has moved to uh, a, a level where he believed in me because I believed in myself. Initially, like you said, he was just trying to protect me. Are you sure we are already like struggling? And are you sure you want to do this?
Mm.
And I wasn't even sure myself whether I would get results or not, right? So he's just mirroring my own fear. And right now he's really supportive. He just do whatever I do. And I remember with my first event, well, first gig of speaking, I had 100 something people, and I asked him to be my photographer, and he was like, "What? I have to do this? I'm a But now he's just so happy to. He'll take leave. He will try to swap his roster to come be with me at my event. So you just gotta prove that you're really serious in this, and then it just gives out that ripple effect.
Yeah, totally. I love that he's supportive and he was your photographer. That's amazing.
Yeah, he was my photographer partly because I needed to like save money.
You got to do what you got to do.
So well, of course, he just does whatever he needs to. But initially, it was tough. It was really tough because there's nothing to show for, right?
Yeah.
So another thing that you mentioned about is mindset, that you had to change your mindset. So did you remember what mindset did you have and what's the mindset that you have right now?
Wow, that's a really big one. Actually, I was doing, because I created this little planner, right, for setting my goals this year. And I was reflecting back on 2014 and even in the last year, let alone 3 years ago in corporate, my mindset has changed. And I think the mindset before, like if I was in corporate, it was this, it was a very constrained mentality. Like you have to work hard for money. You have to really bust your gut to be promoted and be seen. And there's a little bit of people will notice me if I'm doing good work. But flip to the entrepreneurial side, like nobody really notices if you do good work. You have to really go out there and promote and connect with people. And also mindset wise, it doesn't have to be so hard. I think we just overcomplicate things and make things difficult. I think my mindset has changed in terms of hanging on to drama. Used to make small things like such a big deal when that's just a way of hiding from doing the work and getting out there. Like I can't even. There's so many different examples. I actually with kids, I would say it's so hard to build a business because my my children are waking up in the night and I'm not getting enough sleep. Truth, it is hard, it is tough, but you focus on what you can do. You've got 2 hour window during the day, then what's going to move the needle in your business? What can I do rather than stressing and saying it's so hard? That I should just go take action and do what I can because those increments of action every day will build up to something. So the mindset switched from it's so hard, it's so difficult to what can I do? How can I do this? So from negative to positive.
Since we're the topic on this, I also want to ask, since you are also a mother and young children, how sometimes as mothers, it's not that we don't want, but we give ourselves so many excuses, like our kids, we gotta. I think it's just excuses, right? So how do you like plan your time, manage your time to focus on your business as well as your life, as well as your husband, and we are mothers, we are wives, we are whatever, right? So many things we are. So how do you plan your time?
So many hats. It's a good question. Well, firstly, I try and have set a general routine for the kids. My son goes to kindergarten. He's 3 now. My daughter at the moment doesn't, but she has scheduled play dates. And I set certain times, which is me for mummy, being with the kids. And there are certain times which are for me to be the business owner. So a big part of that is also support and help. I'm very fortunate, like in Hong Kong, I have Lucy who lives with us and can help, look after the kids while I'm doing an interview in the middle of the day with you. And she helps with, dinner and, I call her my household manager and she's awesome. So support is a big one. My husband's on board too. So when I travel for work, he will do the school run and drop my son off to school and step in and do more of the homey things that need to be done, kids' homework, bath time. And yeah, it's just about setting those priorities and those non-negotiables. And I think as a mum, then almost if you've only got a 2 hour window or a 20-minute window, you're not gonna procrastinate. You're just gonna get the job done because if you miss that window, then you can't do it again till tomorrow and you've lost a day. So sometimes I think being a mum can actually help you be more productive because you can't waste time. It's not possible. There's no time in the day to procrastinate.
I want to ask something really interesting. So it's like as moms, we feel like we are the best. We can do everything by ourselves, and we think like the husbands cannot handle. So do you freak out when you leave your children alone with your kids? Because I know I worry sometimes. I know he's the dad, you know. I know he can handle. The kids are not gonna starve. You know, they
Yeah.
will probably feed them with unhealthy food, but they're not gonna starve, you know. So, did you have to manage that expectation as well?
Yeah, I mean it's tough, right? Leaving your kids is a big deal. As you know, as a mom, like you see them every day, you do everything with them, so it's hard. Um,
I wonder if our husbands would listen to this because that will reflect that how trustworthy, how much trust do we have with them, you know? You know, initially when I had my first child, I remember I was going to church, right? Because obviously she was breastfed, so I couldn't leave until she was 6 months. Because then she was on solid, he could feed. So I remember 6 months, I'm like, yeah, I'm leaving. And then he calls me 45 minutes after I left. No, in fact, 15 minutes after I left, I was, are you coming back?
oh my goodness.
So because we had this agreement, right? So when she turns 5 or 6 months, then I could go out because she would then sustain longer with the solids, right?
Yes, that's
So
right.
15 minutes was just too long. Like, are you coming back? Are you coming back? So I think because of those experiences, like, oh my God, I'm gonna like go. Can he handle the kids? Of course, like you, I have a household manager, so she handles it. But
Hmm.
do you have the trust issue with your husband? Like, oh my God.
Well, I mean, at first, it was more. It's not that I didn't trust him. It was just that I was like so paranoid that I wasn't there. My husband is a great dad. I think he was born to be a dad, so that's really good. And thankfully, he's quite on board. So he'll be like, just go, relax. Actually, on my recent trip, I went to Miami in December, and my daughter actually had a fever. And bless him, he didn't tell me because he didn't want me to be worried and concerned. And it was not a big deal. It was like a low-grade fever through teething and everything. So I think I don't know. It's actually been quite a nice growth for us because I know that he's supportive in being able to look after the kids and say, it's okay, I've got this. So that's been really helpful. But yeah, first time I think is always hard. And it still gets hard whenever I leave them. It's, to the airport, there are a few tears and what am I doing? And then I get on the plane and I have my quiet time and I'm happy.
And then you're like, okay, yes.
myself. But yeah, I mean it's a bit of give and take. So, I'll repay the favor to my husband and sure I'll let him, when he needs to go on a trip, I'll be looking after the kids. So it's give and take. It's a partnership after all.
Of course. It's actually sometimes our own detachment versus like it actually can or cannot happen, right? Like the kids' first day to school. Like, oh my God, I'm crying, and my kids, okay, she's also crying, but to a certain point where, okay, I'm going to school, right? And then like, oh, no.
I know, I feel it too.
It's like, you grow up so fast. Just
So
grow up so quickly. Oh my God, just cannot imagine. So I want to touch on another subject where, how did you realize that you actually need a coach, a mentor? Because nobody wakes up in the middle of the night like, hey, I'm going to hire a coach tomorrow, right? Did you go through like a series of, I'll try to do it by myself?
Oh yeah, I tried to do it by myself for a long time. Actually, going back to my job before GS, I was in another real estate job, a commercial real estate job, and about 2 years in, I was 24. I'd worked on some, two really big deals in Hong Kong, and they'd been finished, and I was like, awesome. And I remember my boss turned to me and said, those are like the two most amazing deals. They're not going to happen again for like the next 10 years. It's going to be back to normal. I just thought, oh, I don't want to have to go back to normal. I want to keep, doing challenging stuff and, really push myself. And I saw a career counselor. I didn't know what a coach was and got some help on what I should be doing. And it didn't really work out. I got did a test and got like 20 pages of possible jobs I could do, and
Oh my God.
not helpful. I was like, this is more confusing, and doesn't take into account everything I've worked so hard for. So that didn't work out. So another career coach, and wasn't so. Actually, that was a career coach. I was like, not so helpful.
Then what made you like the light bulb that went up? Like, hey, I need to go look for a career coach.
Because I had been, there's only so much Googling and YouTube and TEDx videos that you can watch, right? Like, yes, okay, there's a great message. Go out there and find your passion and you'll never work a day in your life. Okay, how? Like, how do you do it, right? Like, it's a great concept, but you need to know how to do it. And I don't think we can see ourselves clearly. I think we need the help of an expert to be able to sort of excavate what's inside us and help us see where our blind spots are, right? Like, we're not perfect. I definitely need my coach, and I will work with a coach for the rest of my life. And so that moment where I just said, look, enough is enough. Like, I'm going to pay. I need help. This is important to me. Like, why suffer 5, 10, 20 years in a job I don't love when I can get some help and really move this forward? So that was the thought process. And I tried a few different coaches, and I found this one coach who actually was a little bit more spiritual. And at the time in corporate, if you said spiritual to me, I'd be like, what? Like, I'm practical and always use my head, right? And yeah, she just got me more in tune with listening to the intuition and, you know, just opening up a little bit more in terms of like seeing patterns that might happen or coincidences. So she opened my eyes to a more, I guess, spiritual realm.
She opened your third eye.
Yeah, she opened my third eye. And, you know, I think I'm a very practical person, but you can't underestimate the power of intuition and pattern and, you know, whatever you call it, the universe, God, somebody, some higher thing supporting you in achieving all that you're meant to achieve. So once I worked with her, that's when it opened up this part of me that was like, oh my God, I want to help other people with this. I want to be a coach, because immediately I just felt this sense of like, yes, like embodiment, like this is what I want to do. So that was really beneficial for me.
It's so interesting you brought up spirituality, because I mean, I am spiritual, and do you consider yourself spiritual?
I don't. I think I'm exploring spirituality. It's still something I'm not like. I don't fly my spirituality flag yet. My journey into it started, I would say, 2013. So a couple of years ago, and the more I explore this world of spirituality and meet people who are more spiritual like yourself, I know that I feel more grounded and I feel the best connections that I've ever felt. And I just am so grateful for the relationships and friendships that I've made through that, because it's a genuine conversation and it's real, you know, it's not negative or talking about things that aren't important. It's really talking about things that light me up and, you know, important work in the world. So I'm opening up to spirituality, I'd say.
Awesome. I mean, I've been on the spiritual journey for a while now, and you know, when I first started, I was so spiritual, and people tell me you need to be more grounded. You are too spiritual, and then now it's like you're just too grounded. You need to be more spiritual. So it's
really.
Yeah, when I first started my business, you know, the coaching business, the relationship coaching, they were telling me you're just too spiritual. You need to go do something like psychology or something. And so I put my spiritual journey on a standstill, and I went on the personal development journey. So, and then I realized I was just chasing the wrong thing. Hang on. Can you bring her outside? Yeah, my children just appeared. No, Joy sobbing her mother.
I'm loving you. She's gorgeous.
Thank you. Okay. So yeah, and then and recently I came back to, you know, I was just asking what do I want to do? What's my purpose? Like yourself, you know, go through this thing, and then I said, and then I was guided to go back to spirituality, and you know, that really lights me up, because you can only say so much of the marketing in with people who are not spiritual. But if you are a spiritual entrepreneur, and you can just say a lot of things like meditation, visualization, doing all the woo-woo stuff, right? And that completely lights me up. Yes. So, and you know, I was watching the listing of Miami, and they were saying something about spirituality. And I'm like, okay, this is such a validation. So I want to ask you, like, how has spirituality changed you and your business? If you didn't, like, become open to spirituality, do you feel you could be where you are right now? Or how would that turn out for you?
I think if I hadn't started the journey, I actually wouldn't have started my business probably, because I would have been stuck in, should I, shouldn't I, who am I to do this, like why, it's going to be really hard, fear of failure, those kind of thoughts. But the more spiritual, like I do meditation and, you know, visualization, I think it's very powerful. But once I sort of tuned out of that, I think, and actually got into the bigger mission and who I was here to serve, i.e. the more spiritual piece, like what's my path, who am I here to help, then I was able to put myself out there, because it wasn't then about me and my ego, it was really about me and my purpose and my calling. So that's really how it's helped me to move forward. And it's curious, and I want to get your perspective on this, Lisan, because Singapore and Hong Kong, I mean, they're quite similar in terms of culture, right? That people are about money, they're practical, they're go-getters, they do. I mean, do you think spirituality is considered a bit like weird and like not something we should do in business? Because I think, at least when I was in corporate, like spirituality, if I had talked about it, people would have looked at me with like eyes like, what the hell are you talking
about? You're so weirdo.
Yeah, it's like, what?
I think right now the energy has shifted so much. Like, you know, the movie Avatar, he actually conceptualized it 10 years ago, but it wasn't, he didn't manage to bring it into reality 10 years later, because there wasn't enough technology and stuff like that, right, to bring it down. So, oh, the daughter's here. Can you please help me bring them down?
Okay.
Thank you very much. So thank you, Mom.
Oh, that's
Sorry. Sarah, come. We got new class.
Can you please help me, Gabrielle?
Oh my God.
Never,
sugar.
Never mind. You can. Oh my God. Later, please help me. It's okay. I'll sort this out. Thank you very much.
the joys of children.
I know. It's just amazing. So it's just a validation that, hey, we could do whatever it takes, right? It just happens and we just go on. The show must go on.
Exactly.
So I think when I decided to be a healer like 8 years ago, that was very woo-woo. Like my husband thought I went completely nuts, right? And now I'm seeing like left, right, and center, someone's quit their corporate job, they want to go be a healer, they go like travel Nepal, and you know. So I think it's not that uncommon now. I think people are more open up to spirituality, and I think it's just our self-confidence.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know, remember I told you in the beginning, people said you're just too spiritual, you need to like do some psychology and stuff. But I'm so glad I did. I learned the psychology part of it, the grounding side of it. So I see a lot, you know, a lot of spiritual people, they're so woo-woo. They just, okay, I'm just going to meditate and visualize and, you know, everything's fine. So, and there's the other side, which is like the so-called corporate people, the more grounding people, well, not grounded, but the more going after the money and, you know, denying our desires. So there are just two camps, right? Yeah. For us, we realize that going after the money just for the sake of it is just not lighting us up, and just being spiritual, going up to the mountain, it's not going to put food on the table. So therefore, this blend. And I say spirituality is not the way of life. It's just another way of life. If this is not working, then why not try something else?
Yeah, exactly.
And we believe, like, if you're struggling with life, you're struggling with trying to make things work, why not try and just leave it and see what happens, you know? And I think the problem is, I think like you mentioned something, the word ego. A lot of people operate out of ego versus, you know, I was just reading this book by Neil Donald Walsh, What God Said. He said a lot of people, a lot of religious people, they say, God has a plan for you. God has a plan for you. You know, we all have this master plan. But in the book, and I actually resonated with it, he says God has no plan for you. You decide and choose who you want to be. He has no, he's not attached to you being a millionaire. He's not attached to you being a butcher. He just wants you to be the best version of yourself. And I'm like, wow, you know, that's a comforting kind of statement. Like, so he has no master plan for me. So it's you who choose how you want to experience life. Of course, we have a goal in life, we have a purpose in life, but it's that you have a choice of how do you want to go through it. We all make decisions on a day-to-day basis. Right now, you can either choose to suffer. It's an unconscious choice. You're like, oh, but I wouldn't. Why do I want to suffer, right? But it's an unconscious choice.
Yeah.
So until you make it unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you'll call it fate, right? So I think being spiritual on another side, it's actually being conscious, the conscious entrepreneur.
Yes.
Right? Like you're conscious of your feelings, you're consciously making decisions versus leaving it to fate. So that's why I would say spirituality. It's just more than just and that sort of. Yeah.
Definitely. And I love what you say about the calling piece. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to follow a set path to live out your God's plan for you. I do think, like, you have to tap into what's the bigger motivating picture for you, and there are many different ways that we can fulfill that, right? And it's a question of us making the choice and being conscious of what's going to help fulfill us and make us happy. And no one can do that for ourselves but ourselves. And I think it's important, you say, like, if something's not working, try something else. Like, stop complaining and moaning, like, go do something about it.
I mean, you brought up a point just now earlier, like, failure is not an option. Like, if you have so decided, then failure is really not in the plan. And you'll do whatever it takes. So even if you fail, that's not failing.
Yeah.
That's experience.
Exactly. And I think that's where the groundedness comes from with the spirituality, right? Because you can't just meditate and, like, have your ideal clients appear. Like, you have to.
I've tried it. When I was so spiritual, they just say, just close your eyes and visualize white light floating towards you, and like that sort of stuff. I'm like, hey, no, but I want to see a psychic for it. Believe it, I want to see a psychic. Why is my healing practice not taking off? Like, did you, put up the open sign and tell the universe that you're ready for business? Oh yeah, of course I did, right? So I think spirituality is just being connected to the oneness, but then on the other side, you are a human being. You have to play by the rules. You need to do marketing. You need to learn about the money. I mean, like, making money. I thought it's just something. I think a lot of people think making money or having money is an entitlement. I mean, you are born to be rich, but you need to acquire the skills to be rich. Like, as in walking. If you just don't learn how to walk, then you're not gonna walk, because the skill is there, but until you activate it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like, I enjoy watching nature, like how the baby crocs or the baby turtles, when they hatch, they immediately know that this is the way to go. Like, there's this other animal, I can't remember, but they immediately know they will have to climb up the tree to get away from the predators, that sort of thing. So it's just so natural for them, but yet it's not natural for us. It's so amazing. And I was reading in the book also said, like, we believe everything else is part of God, we just don't believe we are part of God.
It's fascinating because Ella is now 1, right? Then just to see her over the last year grow from this baby who is so dependent to this little girl essentially who's babbling mama, dada, and walking, like, that to me is evidence that we have everything within us. Like, it is natural, it is instinct. And yeah, I think the spirituality piece is coming back to trusting ourselves and what is inherent within us and being conscious to that, and just allowing that to take place rather than worrying about, am I going to fail? Am I going to, have to crawl back to my corporate job if I leave and I fail? Like, that kind of thing. Like, it's about going back to that. And, a baby knows how to walk. It's going to do it. Failure is not an option for them. So when it comes to you going for your ideal career and your ideal life, failure isn't an option. Just go back to yourself and take the steps forward, and you're being supported through whatever medium is out there. Support is there and will help you.
I think people are still concerned about the destination versus the journey of who you actually will become to get there. I do. I mean, I'm not shy to say this. I do want to become a millionaire, right? I mean, because when you have more, you can do more and give more. Like Mother Teresa said, you need a check to change the world, right? And if money is such like a sinful thing, why would God even allow it? And so it's about the money. It's not about the money, and it's not about the money, right? It's about who I will become the process, right? So it's just when the matter of time.
Yeah, definitely. And money's just a tool, right? It helps us live out what we want and what we desire. And it's not about the money paper itself. Like you say, it's really about the journey and who we become. And yeah, it's all just one enjoyable ride. So we've got to enjoy it.
And I think money is a very good spiritual teacher if you look at it that way. It actually shows you where you are. Like, are you denying abundance? Are you accepting abundance? How do you feel about it? Because at the end of the day, I mean, I found this quote on the internet when I was doing my research on money mindset. If money is such a bad thing, why is the church asking for it?
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I mean, it's just a tool, right? I think somebody, I can't remember who said it, but they said money is neither good nor bad. It's what perception you place upon it. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, if you think it's a bad thing, then it will be bad. And if you think it's good, then it is good.
Yeah. So it's not the money that creates evil people. It's not the rich people that are bad. It's just how people use it, and it's your perception, right?
Yeah, totally. And there are rich people doing great things with their money, and there are rich people doing bad things with their money. Same with poor people. There are good poor people, and there are bad poor people. So it's not about the money. It's about the person.
The person. Yeah, I mean, I feel a lot of people feel like, okay, I'm spiritual, so I need to be poor because based on what Buddha and Jesus, but we're not Buddha and Jesus, so you cannot compare yourself to them. Being poor doesn't make me less spiritual. Being rich doesn't make me more spiritual. Oh no, actually the flip side. Being poor doesn't make me more spiritual, and being rich doesn't make me less spiritual.
Agreed. And I think, like to your point earlier, like if you have more money, then you can actually do more good in the world, right? You actually can help others. So it's not a bad thing.
I know. I mean, I'm so happy to have this conversation with you. So why don't you tell us where can we find you? And I know some women are sitting on the fence, whether should I quit my job? And your thing is not about you quitting your job. Your thing is about you finding what's right for you, your happiness. If you choose to be in corporate, then be in corporate and be the happiest person in corporate, right? Exactly. So tell us where. I know you have a planner for the people and and us. So where can we find that planner, and where can we find you on your web space, and tell us exactly what kind of results can you help the women achieve?
Sure. Well, you can come on over to www.theneonlifesociety.com. That's the website, and you'll be able to read more about me, my journey, and also how I can help you personally. But essentially the clients that I work with are high-achieving types who know that they're meant for more. Interestingly, a few more men have been coming my way, even though it's mainly women that I talk to, because obviously I've been in their shoes.
No judgment, right? No judgment, men or women.
No, not at all. And it's really those who want to live a life of meaning and purpose and actually feel fulfilled at the end of it. So I've helped people who are in the corporate jobs and not sure of what business to start, and they started contracting an ideal client and testing it out and starting to charge and actually earn money for their business idea. And I've helped others go back into corporate and say, hey, actually, I want to be a leader and I want to lead in my own way, not being an alpha male. So the results are so different for everybody, but in essence, it comes back to knowing who you really are, what you really want, and what career is really going to light you up and make you feel fulfilled. Because it's about having a career and having a life at the same time. So I did create a planner, the 2015 Bright Life and Career Planner, which essentially is to help you realize your goals for 2015 and explore what you want from the year. So it is like more, I guess, spiritual in terms of visualization and where you want to go. But then it's also practical, because I was a project manager at GS. So what do you want to achieve within 3 months, and how are you going to break that down week on week? So you can find that on the website, so www.theneonlifesociety.com. And I can share a link. I don't know if you're sending it out later, Lisanne, but the details are all on there. And yeah, just invite you to come and check out the website. And if you feel like you want to know if working together would be a good fit, then you can just check the website on the contact form and send me an email, and I'd be happy to have a chat.
Awesome, beautiful. Such a good way to start is creating an intention, knowing your game plan, and then how to get there. It's not really the thing. It's knowing where you want to go and then make that decision from a no matter what space, right?
Exactly. Very well summarized.
That's good. Awesome. So I will speak to you soon, and it's so wonderful to have you here with us and inspire more women. I think it's twofold: the corporate people and those who are mothers, right?
Yes.
Who actually just go after it because you've got only one life, so why not?
Exactly. And you want to be a role model for your kids too, right? And show them.
Exactly. Especially if you're a mom.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and for all those watching, and you can click on the same link to have the replay link on, and go find Siobhan on the Neon Life Society.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Elisa. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.